Welcome to EventAdvice, another week, another fabulous session. This time I'm going to be asking Will Custard the difficult question. And the reason we're doing that is because today we're going to be talking about event registration, but we're going to be focusing on UX. And I am not a UX expert, and Will is. So
Some
you
might say.
get the challenging questions.
The expert word is a scary one.
Because I knew that it was going to be this way round, I'm really happy to see that they're tough questions as well.
Go on, throw them at me. See what happens.
Yeah, we want to look at kind of best practice in registration, how we can use UX to improve that registration journey, focusing on forms, but I think we can talk about registration in general, and it would apply to all areas of our technology. So, what does reg form customization actually mean to you, Will?
Well, hopefully it's not what it just means to me, it's what it means to everyone involved in using the products that we design and build. So really it's giving the power to the end user to be able to do the things that they would like to be able to do with software. So obviously over the last 20 years we've seen a huge influx of no-code tools. So WYSIWYG builders, that stands for what you see is what you get, changing things in front of your eyes. You don't need to employ a developer, you don't need a team of engineers, you are empowered to do what you want to customize the thing in front of you.
With literally no skill?
Sometimes with literally no skill, yeah. I mean, we design for, so one of the sort of mantras that we've got is we have to allow people to make it look bad. So we can't, as a designer, sometimes when I come to a tool, that I'm building tools in order to empower people. I think, okay, if we stopped people being able to do that, I think it would look better. But is that a truly flexible solution to allow someone to make it look bad?
I know we do that, and I understand that I understand why. I don't want them to create something that's bad.
I mean,
I want a big button. I want a big flashing light. Don't do that. Please don't do that. That's awful. That doesn't follow any best practice.
We're dealing in subjectives, so what one person thinks, you know, I sometimes look at a design which, this sounds like I'm having a go at you. I'm not. Sometimes I'll look at design and you'll think that looks good, and I think that it doesn't, it looks bad.
Yeah, you do know better than me.
No, but it's a completely subjective thing. So I have to allow you to be proud of that work and to think you've done a great job and to be happy with your solution.
Should we be therefore considering designing for the majority?
There's definitely, like, I certainly, we are helping along the way. So we will start you off on the right path. It's why we go down we don't give you a blank canvas to do your form or to do your registration website or your event app pages. We give you a starting point, which we think is great, and you can just swap out the graphics if you want. You don't need to do anything. Or if you really want to customize it and make it look great, you can do that. You can adjust things. You can have a little play around. Or if you've got some skills in sort of CSS, then you can go even further if you have someone in your team that can do that.
I remember probably 9 years ago when I joined this industry, it was customization was stick your logo, chuck in a couple of hex codes, you get your brand colors. Why is it important that we can do so much more than that now?
Well, from my point of view, we want to get out of the way. So we want companies that use our software to look like they've built it themselves. So it's not just the no-code solution and sort of, making it so you're able to swap the colors and the fonts and the logo. Because when I look at some other platforms, I know exactly what platform it is when I load it.
Oh yeah, I do.
We don't want ours to be like that. We want ours to, you might not know it's CrowdComms. It looks so close to the brand that you would think that they built it in-house.
It's like this white labeled solution. Are you white labeled? Well, you can change the URL and you can remove CrowdComms' name. That is not what white labeled means.
No.
And we're always pushing, we're going to be continually pushing what white label means.
Yeah. I mean, if you can go between multiple clients and think it's the same and recognize it's the same thing every time, then we've failed somewhat in our job because we want every client to be able to get it exactly how they want.
So why does the ability, so let's focus on, if we're saying that the reason that the amount of customization you can make is because they can get as close to their brands, that familiarity. Why is that so important? Is it trust? What's the reasoning why? Is it vanity or is there more than vanity involved in it?
No, it's absolutely, companies have spent millions of pounds, maybe less than that, but like if they've built their reputation over years and years and years, their brand, there is always a confusion between a brand and an identity. Mm-hmm. The brand is not your logo and colors. Your identity might be, your logo triggers, what branding does is your logo will trigger some mind share. We like to call it mind share. It's one of those terms that like thought showers and things. It's awful. But if you own a piece of someone's mind and they have a feeling towards your brand, that's what your logo triggers. The Nike swoosh, for example, the Nike swoosh.
Yep.
You wouldn't know what that was unless you knew what Nike was, and you don't have a reaction until you know how that makes you feel. Either you love it or you hate it, or you're somewhere in between, you're indifferent, and you actually prefer a different brand. Yeah. And their clothes fit you better, their shoes fit you better. But so being able to evoke the same feelings using our software as the amount of time and effort you've put in to everything else is absolutely crucial.
It's interesting, like that Nike logo, this is not really relevant, but I'm interested in it. I know what that Nike logo looks like. I can hear the messaging when I see that Nike logo. They asked, recently I saw an article, I think they got 50 people to draw the Starbucks sign from memory.
I saw that, yeah, I did see that.
And it was blimmin' hilarious. Everyone knew the colour.
Yep.
And I think people knew, they knew something because it's such an iconic brand. We see it every blimmin' day.
Yeah.
I don't reckon more than one got close.
No, I did. I looked through them and I don't think they got particularly close.
How many will get close to Nike?
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, and Nike and Starbucks, it's like Google, we understand. I mean, can you have too complicated a logo? But it's kind of, and does it matter that we don't know it? Because we still know when we see it what it is and what they stand for and what they do, but we can't remember it.
Well, perhaps a better example in terms of branding is Pret and McDonald's. Yeah. They're owned by the same company. McDonald's would have known that they could not service the people that didn't like McDonald's for lunch. They didn't recognize that as their brand.
So they've gone so far from
So that. They've gone away from it. Now, it gives you a different feeling. You go in there, it's a bit more of a upmarket corporate lunch. It's different food. It's a healthy alternative. It's all these things, same company.
Yeah.
So that just shows you how important it would be that, when you're talking about the feeling that your event app would give you as well.
Do you think you can give me some examples of effective branding? An example of someone who's done effective branding and registration against perhaps someone who's very generic in terms of their reg forms?
Well, I think I'm allowed to mention company names.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a few, so we'll do this one we can do together, but go on.
Okay, well, I remember Google went quite a long way when they used our platform. They are, very particular about the spacing, the font sizes, the iconography that they use, that feeling that you get when you land on a Google product. It has to look like they have to, looks like they built it in-house. So they did a lot of that. A lot of the Deloitte learning experiences for their onboarding, they have to feel like you are coming to a Deloitte, you are joining Deloitte as a company, and they want you to get that feeling immediately about their whole ethos for the whole company. So those are very important, and then the sort of, we do see a lot of people that just, they like the fact that they can just adjust a couple of things, but actually from a template point of view, they're happy with the template. It looks nice. They can swap the images. They can swap the colors and just tweak it here and there. Like, for example, We're working with Make-A-Wish at the moment. So they have, if you imagine the header image at the top of the site, throughout all of their branding, a bit like Amazon, they've got a smile in their logo, which gives you a little bit of something of course, Make-A-Wish is all about making you smile and giving you wonderful experiences. So we wanted to bring that into the platform so you were able to do that just a little tweak to it to make it a bit closer.
Attention to detail is so important. One of the things is, look, often we're talking about the end user, and we absolutely should be, at every stages of technology, be mindful of the end user. How important is it that the admin, the organizer, can affect those changes positively and quickly? Because we're talking about time-poor people.
Yeah, you need to be able to do it very quickly. You need to be able to do it yourself. It's going to be a huge barrier. It's going to be a huge bottleneck if you have to go and look for expertise that you can help outside of. We all know in organisations how much you slow down. The more people you have to involve, the slower your project becomes, because you have to, request the time with other people. You have to brief them. You have to feed back on what they've done. You've got an idea of something. If an organiser is working, to try and get something turned around quickly and to try and get their registration, get it out to people soon, they want to be able to do that themselves. They want to understand. And if they are working with design teams and things like that, brand teams, they want to be able to quickly brief them on what they need. So they want to know dimensions for everything. They want to know the restrictions in which the designers are working within. They want to know the parameters, and they want to get those back as soon as possible. And just upload things and be off and away. Genuinely, now I know our platform quite well, but we've had clients come and use our platform as managed build. So we help them, we train them, we are there the whole time. Quickly become self-service.
Oh yeah, normally
customers.
a project. Yeah, project to project.
So that's the best bit of feedback we can have, is turning managed build into self-build, because we know we're doing the right things from a UX point of view, that you can quickly learn them, you can quickly use them. We know from doing demos with people, we can build in our app to a solution. Probably we could have badging, kiosk, event app, and registration done in probably half an hour.
Yeah, oh yeah, really quick. I know it's not really a UX in terms of platform, but let's focus on that kind of what we need to capture that balance. It's such a topic. I hear such conflicting opinions on it. I think conveniently I sit right in the middle of these two extremes, okay? You have the people that want to collect no information. What do you need to know other than that I'm going to be there? And then you get those that say, we need to know lots. And then I think I kind of sit in the middle, is just collect what you need, or what can influence the personalisation of your audience. So for example, I went to a trade show, looked at an attendee of a trade show, I'm not going to say who. It was vast, hundreds of questions at registration. In the event app, none of those questions influenced any of the responses they'd been asked to give. Sessions they might like to watch, sponsors they might like to see. There was nothing taken from registration, so what is the point of it? So I know it's not a feature specific, but what's your thought on that kind of premise of how much you get in terms of the information at registration?
Well, it's exactly that. It's if you are going to ask for it, one, explain why, and then demonstrate when I get to the actual end, show me what all of that effort that I just put in, what the benefit is to me. If you are going to selfishly collect all that information and you might use it later, that's not good enough.
It comes back to understanding as an organizer at the start, what does success look like? If making sure that your delegates are partnered with sponsors that have real value, like value is someone that meets a sponsor and what they're offering resonates. Business comes from it. That's the whole purpose of it. So if you ask a question at registration that enables you to filter down to the 5 people that are most relevant for you, show me who they are. Make it easy for me. Book me in my meeting. Otherwise, don't bother.
Yeah,
Don't ask me the
absolutely.
question.
And I'm a big fan of context around it. So explain to me why you're asking me. If you're asking something slightly out of the ordinary, it's not going to be wildly out of the ordinary, but if you are making me jump through 6 or 7 stages of a registration, explain to me why. And we've got tools built into our platform where you can upload a video next to a question, upload text, upload imagery next to a question, so you can explain whatever you want. How is it going to benefit me once I get to the other end? Because the other thing is, if you make them mandatory and you don't explain, I guarantee you'll see a larger bounce rate, a larger drop-off rate through your registration form. If you guide people through it, you will increase adoption.
We could ask the question, should I do this in registration or should we do it in app? So sessions, meetings, okay? Now, if registration is about getting an attendee to the event and them knowing about it, surely we should do that in app.
Well, I think
but I'm saying I kind of lean to kind of a mixed approach. You can find out information that then when they land on the app, it's mindful of that information, or you can just get the basics and do it in here. I'm not sure what the right answer is. We probably need to look at the data.
Well, it's tricky, isn't it? Because there is 2 schools of thought on that. You're probably in a slightly different situation when you're registering. You're possibly sat in front of your computer. You've possibly got a bit more time on your hands.
Yeah.
People are reluctant. They seem to try to get people into the event app as soon as possible before the event. They struggle.
Yeah.
People don't want to engage. They're busy doing other things.
So at registration, you have 100% of the people that are going to be there.
Exactly. And then I would wager most people think about the event app maybe a day before the event, if not on the day. They are downloading, they are looking at sessions as they are traveling to the event. They're thinking about, okay, I'm in the headspace for this event now, what am I going to do? If you land on the app on the day of the event, or if you're in the queue to get your badge, and it's asking you dozens of questions for networking and dozens of questions for this and that, they're probably just going to go, oh, I haven't got time for that now. I've got to deal with this thing right in front of me.
Okay.
So registration, you've probably got a bit more time to ask those questions. But the ultimate is obviously you do those questions, and then you open the event app on the morning when you're in the queue to get your badge.
It's bloody listened.
And you're like, oh, the payoff. You get the payoff.
It's so simple. Nobody does it. I don't understand it. It drives me mental. Turning up at an exhibition and everything I've given at registration is not pulled through.
Yeah.
Don't ask me.
Yeah.
God, it annoys me.
Yeah.
Woo! Anyway, we've looked at kind of customization being important, touched a little bit on personalisation. It'd be great to kind of understand how accessibility fits into that.
Yeah.
It seamlessly fits into it, doesn't it? But I suppose it'd be interesting to look at how custom forms can cater to attendees with additional needs.
Well, if you want as many people to register, you have to make your form as accessible as possible. You are dismissing out of hand 20% of people immediately from being able to register if it's completely non-accessible.
Yeah.
And that can mean anything from being responsive to work on a mobile phone all the way up to being compatible with screen readers and being compatible with all of the tools that someone with additional needs will have probably set up for them within their browser and on their machine and on their phone. So if I'm partially sighted and I've got my text very large on my phone, if I'm not responding to that, I can't use it. It's too small for me. I can't register. I can't go to this event. The other thing is what we like to do is give tools to both the organizer to start people off, and then the attendee or the delegate or the end user to control that themselves, to change their mind.
Yeah.
So the main example we've got in registration form is Some people prefer every question on one page. Some people prefer to concentrate on one section at a time, and then they know how many sections they've got to cover. Some people like to do one question at a time because they really want to focus in on what they're doing. We have tools that allow the organizer to start off with what they would like from their brand. Does that match with the other forms that they've sent out and things like that? But then the end user to be able to change their mind and do it on their own if they want to.
So often I think being mindful of people with accessibility benefits everybody.
Absolutely.
You look at, we talked a minute ago about asking for things in registration that creates personalisation in the app. Neurodiversity is often about noise that's not relevant to you. And it's about saying, just give me stuff that's relevant to me. Help me. This is what's really important to me. These are the sessions I'm interested in. This is the content. These are the people I want to meet. Make it straightforward for me. Don't give me too much. Narrow it down. Can you explain how we perhaps achieve that with our grouping, to enable people to get the alerts, the messaging, meet the people that's relevant, watch the sessions? So if we're capturing information in those forms, how are we ensuring that we're mindful of that, leveraging our module privacy, our groups, our personalised agendas?
So what we tend to do, we're very big on mapping from registration into the event app. So we want to make sure that we can segment people. You can set up your form, segment answers to questions straight into groups that go across everything. So whether that's badging or whether it's the event app, the email communications, things like that. We want to make sure that you just do that once. So if you want to set that up during registration, you're asking a specific question. So let's say dietary requirements, and then you're putting people into groups off the back of that. You can map that data from the answers of that question straight into groups. So if you had a vegan group in your event app and a special vegan badge that printed out a kind of signifier on that, because I did see the other day that
my God, the tragic.
we had a
God.
death in the event industry the other day based on a
Apps.
dietary requirement. So
Tragic.
if you wanted to make sure that you are doing all the right things and it's accessible and safe for people to attend that event who have dietary requirements, you do it once, you do it in the registration form. That one group, putting that person who answers that question into that group straight away means all of the comms are already segmented.
Yeah.
All of the badging is already segmented. All of the event app personalization is already segmented. So you can have a completely personalized experience from one answer from each question. And in the CrowdComms platform, you can be in as many groups as you want. It's limitless. So some are limited to how many groups you can actually be a part of. We deliberately make sure that you can be in a huge matrix of customization. So it's very important to us that we do the right things, and you do it once, and it happens everywhere.
I think when you talk, one of the questions here is how intuitive designs, smooth user experience, basically help with optimization of audience numbers. Now, actually, it's not just about how many people you get to an event. It's about making sure that their event has a quality experience so they come back.
Yeah.
And that's why forms that are flexible are so important. Good UX practices, good design enables people to get through the information that's needed and submit or take payment or follow that process. But it also personalizes that experience for the event so that we can make sure that if they have certain objectives at it, we can deliver them because we understand them.
Yeah.
And then you get that repeatability cycle,
Yeah.
which enables you to go from 100 people to 120 people to 140 people to 200 people, which is normally the progression people want to see at their annual event.
Absolutely. And if, people, there is a conflict between people not wanting you to know too much data about them, but also wanting a personalized experience. If you land on an app and you have done nothing more than filled in 3 or 4 questions during a registration, but we already know, we can introduce ourselves using your first name. We know which groups you're in, so we know you're a VIP, so you've got this special experience as you land on the app. Welcome. We know you're a VIP. We know what sessions you've picked. You're already in them. They're already in your event schedule. We know what companies you want to meet. We know, what are the delegates you're interested in, and we can present that to you immediately, and you can jump into all these different sections. Like you say, that is going to be an experience that they will remember the next time, and they are more likely to come back and use the app during the event rather than just check the agenda.
Most people just want to feel listened to.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a blooming marriage counselling thing, doesn't it? But it's that feeling that someone has listened to what I've said. They've removed a lot of noise to enable me to have a really focused, time-effective experience.
Yeah.
And that creates a huge positivity. So I've got here a couple of take-homes. Overcomplicating forms with unnecessary fields. And I suppose the other one is just to be mindful of the consequence of poor mobile optimization in your product. So that's like continuity of device. It's not something that would ever be a problem with our technology, but do you want to touch on it?
I'm amazed the conversation is still happening, to be honest.
We saw one yesterday. We looked at one yesterday. Couldn't believe it. And it's a huge company. I'm not going to say who because we don't want it to be a plonker. And one that I really respect. And in many, we can't all do things perfectly, by the way. We don't. But the mobile optimization of the website I saw, there was no auto formatting.
You lost the date of the event.
It was
and the logo.
unreal.
Like it was, it's one of those things that.
But why are they building a piece of technology where people would have to build twice to create a solution across mobile, where we look at all the data and look at how often people are on mobile phone through registration, and it's high. It is high.
Oh, absolutely. Of course it is.
And people say, is it mobile first? It's just everything.
If you're busy at work in front of your machine, anything outside of that is probably your phone.
Yeah.
So if you're going to register for an event, either you're going to do it in work time, which, okay, you're probably sat in front of your machine.
Matt, have you seen this event?
Yeah. Go
I'm
and
on
register.
mobile.
Straight to mobile.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just baffling that, having been in the industry for 22 years or whatever it is, I've been in it, with the conversations about responsive mobile app development of software has been nearly from the get-go, and it took. It's just staggering. I mean, if it doesn't work across all devices perfectly, there is something fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
And you should be looking for an alternative.
Do you know it's taken to slide 10 to get to this one? It was only a matter of time. Wait for it. Just brace yourself.
Okay.
Future of event.
The future.
But wait, it gets more future. It's always the same future. Can we talk about AI-driven personalisation and insights?
No, we can't. Oh, wow. You can't do it again. The boomerang, the AI boomerang.
I can't get rid of it.
No, you cannot get rid of AI. And that was so phenomenal. I've actually partially forgotten the question apart from the AI bit.
I don't know the AI bit because I've thrown it away, but I once threw my wedding ring up, not out of, not in any weird way.
Anger.
Yeah. And then it landed back onto my wedding finger.
No way.
Unreal. But that just hit the roof, hit the back thing, and landed back on my.
Yeah. So, just for anyone who doesn't know, we've probably got a 10-foot, 12-foot up to the ceiling, and it's come back down and landed in your hand.
AI,
phenomenal.
Future events and event registration, how AI is going to play a part in that. I suppose you could look at it, again, I think it'll be more synced with that kind of personalisation than anything else.
Yeah, it's probably going to be learning and reacting to the information. Now, we are looking at tools at the moment to speed up the creation of your form. Now, we can create forms pretty quickly manually anyway, but we are looking at voice, so that's an accessibility thing as well as speed. I am slightly skeptical that an event organizer will know exactly what they want from the moment they load the page, so they will go hit the button, okay, give me I want first name, last name, email, I want dietary requirements, I want hotel requirements. I don't know if they'll know that and want to speak that straight away, but we will check and we will find out with some user research.
Good conversation. Would you like to know, Could you make it a consultative kind of process?
We could have a conversation with some sort of machine learning AI bot that can help you and advise you along the way. So there definitely is tools that we can integrate into it, particularly like complex mapping. So rather than clicking through buttons, Again, looking at tools where you could say, okay, if someone answers that question, I want them to go to question 5. I don't want them to see question 3 and 4. So being able to do that with your voice or a natural language input, rather than having to click around and figure out, okay, where am I going for this? What am I doing? Is it mapped correctly? We can do things like that as well. But in terms of being able to crunch, so giving and learn, training an AI on the back end to learn about a user, absolutely. There's a bit in between where you go, okay, I've got all the information that I need about this person. I'm going to put that into the CRM, use an integration, pop it into the CRM, and then the event app knows about it, can crunch that data about all of the people, massive data set. We're already doing matchmaking, so we can, form those connections. What would you like to do with that information? There are several different ways to engage with people and companies and sessions around our app. How would you like to use that information? What's best for you? What can we recommend? Based on people who did things like you, this is the information that we've got. We're learning to recommend the best experience for people.
And data will also be a part of it as well, won't it? In terms of AI.
You almost can't do it without knowing and training the AI. You are at a loss straight away. So the more you can tell it, the more it can learn from.
It's almost slightly at odds, isn't it, that whole statement that we've just been talking about. We need to be able to have tangible data, like visual data representations, real data, visual representation data. But then we also need you to push all of the binary data back into our CRM, which is what we use for all our kind of data validation.
Yeah.
Well, is it not the CRM's responsibility? We're going to do it because I think clients have different requirements. But
well, if you're not paying for something as an end user, you are the commodity, aren't you? Your data, the knowledge, is the bit that people want about you. So being able to build up a picture of, okay, this person's been to 3 other of my events. They're not engaging as much as they could be. What can I do to increase the engagement of that person, individually? Then you bring the whole thing up as a whole. It's tricky.
We're kind of coming to an end, but what are your takeaways? Or shall I do a takeaway? You do a takeaway? We
could do that. I mean, to be honest, making sure that you come and use our. Not to make this about us, but if you are struggling to build quickly, efficiently, and accurately to your brand, your company, the way you want it to look, then maybe it's time to look at a different provider. We have tools across the suite that are very, very similar for anything you want to do, anything you want to design.
Simple, same continuity of UX.
So I know we're talking about registration UX, but if you came and built a registration form and landing page with us, or a registration website, you would already know how to design a badge, how to design the kiosk, how to design the event app pages.
People just say, when we showed that client yesterday, it looks the same as your app.
Yeah.
It is.
So it's always the continuity. So my takeaway would be, if you're worried about what you're doing, look at alternative providers. I know we're not the only one out there. I know we're not the only one who will have no-code tools, but talk to someone else. Concentrate on your data. If you're going to ask people, give them context around it, give them social proofs, give them call to action reassurances. Make sure you are backing up what you're asking for. That will aid conversion. And use the data. Try and use it.
I agree with all of that. My take home is it's common sense to expect the same demands on us as people put on their own websites. They invest millions of pounds, hundreds of thousands of pounds, tens of thousands of pounds, depending on the size of the organisation, having the flexibility to build and design in a certain way. And we have an obligation to allow them to continue through our technology. And it's an obligation that I don't think any other tech company is taking as seriously as we are, because we are much further ahead than they are in that particular regard.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, 100%.
And AI is never going away, because I tried to throw it into the air and it's coming right back at us.
Ooh, that's a topic for another day, but I think people are, my opinion is,
Or is this an unpopular opinion?
it might be an unpopular opinion, AI is not as advanced as people think it might be.
They're all admitting that now.
It's
It's bloody brilliant, isn't it?
it's incredible.
And we're using it, we're leveraging it both in terms of our day-to-day roles, but also in terms of our tech stack. But perhaps it's not quite where some people have, that we know of.
Yeah, and that's not to say in 10 years' time it won't be where we think it is now, but
10 years' time, God blimey, well, I can't think that far ahead. Well, let's
robots everywhere.
leave it there. Thank you, and thank you for changing it up and sitting that side
that was
of
a pleasure. That was nice.
the debate. But
Thank you.
we will see you again soon. Subscribe, watch the other videos, get in touch if you want to find out how you can leverage our technology to look at customization, implement the right UX across your tech suite, and we'll see you again soon.